And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Well, we're joined by the aforementioned Kathy Beaver. She is the Vice President for Rehabilitation at, what's the address here?
408 Elizabeth Street.
408 Elizabeth. And right across from the Kent Street building. You've been here how long? 35?
29.
Oh, 29.
29. I don't want to claim 35
No, all
quite
right.
yet.
Okay, 29. Boy, I tell you, you must have seen some big changes, with this one being the ultimate one. I mean, being over on Kent Street and then coming over here. What
The amazing amount of growth that we
Yeah.
as an organization have undergone in those 29 years. And really the expansion of services to those we serve. And I think this building kind of epitomizes what we'd hope vision services would look like for those dealing with loss.
And the services that are being offered here, they range from what to what, Kathy?
So they've changed a lot. If you talked to me, 10 years ago, I would have told you orientation mobility, which is travel training, vision rehab therapy, which is independent living skills, would have talked about employment, would have talked about low vision. But this building allows us to do adaptive sports and recreation, nutrition counseling, diabetic education, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and so much more.
Yeah, there's a pool here.
There is a
What's
pool
that
here.
used for?
That's a therapy pool. Not only is it going to allow for social integration with our adults and children, but it also is going to allow us to work with people in physical therapy and occupational therapy in the pool.
And right behind this wall, there is a big room. What's that? I saw that earlier. What's
So
that?
there's an adaptive tech center in this building, which we didn't have at Kent Street. Also behind this building is our low vision center. We only had one exam room at Kent Street. Now we have 3 exam rooms.
And I see over across the way that it looks like those are going to be racks for eyeglass frames.
We
Yes?
are. We're also going to have an optical service, which we're really excited about. It's just going to enhance the low vision services that we've already provided for many
Yeah.
years.
And with frames, eyeglass frames, I speak from experience, being so expensive. Do your clients here get a break on those kinds of things?
They will, especially our employees who work for us. We have over 100 employees who are blind, legally blind, and then of course our other 150 employees who are sighted. But everyone will be able to come here for optical services.
I hear that phrase a lot, legally blind. What does that mean?
Legally blind means with best correction, with the glasses on. The most you can see on an eye chart is the big E, which is 2200 or less. Or you can have a field restriction as well, which can also impact your ability.
Yeah. Do the people that are trained on the white canes, will that take place out of this building, or?
It will.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look out front of the building between Elizabeth Street and Kent Street, we've put a very innovative crosswalk in there with flashing stop signs and other things, because people are coming back and forth between the 2 buildings. There's a walkway around this entire building, which will allow us to work with people outside and do some independent travel to get ready for.
What do you do when you see someone, and I ask because I remember the time when I was on Genesee Street and I saw someone trying to cross the street, I thought, and they had a white cane, and there's no way that person is going to get across the street. So I came around, pulled the car over, and asked if I could help them get across the street. And they were waiting for the bus, so they didn't need my help. But,
Sure.
Is there something that the public ought to be aware of when they see somebody with a white cane? Should they offer assistance?
Yeah, sure. If you see that somebody's struggling at an intersection, you can always introduce yourself and offer to help them to cross. It's hard. We provide orientation mobility instruction, but all things, and you'll learn more about that in a later segment, but sometimes variables change, whether it's the upstate New York and there's snow on the ground, whether it's the wind that's taken away. And cars are much quieter today than they were 10 or 15 years ago.
I didn't think of that.
So there's a lot of variables that affect abilities to be successful in
How long
training.
does it take to train somebody to get out there on their own?
Depends on the person, just like any skill that you're trying to achieve. Some people it's very quick, and others it takes longer to develop. And how much residual vision you have. Today the people who are coming, 50% of who we see today are visually impaired, not legally blind. So yes, we still see those who are legally blind, but those who are just initially diagnosed with macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy, glaucoma, and are in those early stages and are struggling to read print, can come to us for services. And that's more and more of what is happening over the years. If you looked at the graph of those with visual impairments, you'll definitely see an increase in those individuals coming to us for help. And we want those people to come to us because it's so much easier to learn adaptive skills when you have remaining vision. And then as your vision deteriorates, should it deteriorate, you already know the compensatory skills that you need to continue and live independently.
I guess that's the end goal, is to give people the resources, the training they need to live on their own. And how many of the people that come in here are we talking about that can actually live on their own?
Oh, everyone can live on their own. Yeah, obviously, we also think of children, we think of those who are born with visual impairments, but the majority of those we see encountered vision loss later in life. Age-related macular degeneration is one of the leading causes of vision loss for the population we serve. So you and I have lived a full life. We had a career, we had a job. All of a sudden, we retire and doctor diagnoses us with age-related macular degeneration. And over time, our ability to read print, our ability to do the things that we love, whether it's cooking, whether it's watching TV programs, whether it's just navigating in our own community, become increasingly hard. And so having the resources of CAPVI available to you can be a huge asset. It allows you to continue your life. You're not basically stopping what you did and what makes you feel good.
The technology that we have today, we've all got phones in our pockets, little mini computers, computers at home. What has that meant for people that are blind or visually impaired?
Oh, it's huge, because you can have bill identifiers to identify whether it's a dollar bill or a $5 bill. It can, through QIR codes, you can have menus, and then if your phone talks to you, you can listen to the menu when you go to a restaurant. Technology is a big advanced way of helping those with vision
loss. Is that part of the curriculum here?
It is, and you'll see our Adaptive Tech Center from learning to use large print keyboards, to improving your typing skills, to Zoom text, which enhances the text on the screen, to programs that actually talk to you. Our operators who work over on Kent Street answer inbound calls, and they're listening to the computer on one side of the headset, and they're responding, listening to the computer on the other. So they're actually multitasking through a headset device.
Kathy, I've got to ask you this question. You were telling me before the show started how this facility got all drawn up. It wasn't on a piece of graph paper, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was on a little napkin.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, Rudy D'Amico. We'd been doing camps for a few years. This was 2013, 2014, and we learned a lot through our camp programs for kids as it pertains to quality of life concerns. It's not so much learning to be able to cross a street or be able to prepare a meal for your family. Those are all important. But it's really what you think about yourself, your self-esteem, your self-confidence, feeling a part of a community. And so when Rudy came to me and said, if you could envision anything for the future of rehabilitation, what would that entail? And it was this building. It was addressing all of the other services that we knew that we could have a positive impact, and looking at quality of life issues for those who are blind or visually impaired. I knew myself, my mother's legally blind, and she's third generation of legal blindness, and I knew that if I became legally blind as an elderly person, I wanted to have the same quality of life that I had, regardless of how much sight I had. And that wasn't about cooking a meal for me, and probably wouldn't be, because I'm 70 years old. How much cooking do I want to do these days? It's not something I'd love even
So
today.
you didn't pull out graph paper. What did you pull out and draw it up
I
on?
did it on a napkin to start with, and then it went to graph paper, and I'm not an architect by any means, so it wasn't to scale.
Yeah.
But
from a napkin to this, nice job. We're going to take a short break, but then we're going to be right back. Stick with us, everybody.